So I do not live near a Goodwill bins. I'm sure if you watch other resellers on YouTube, you've seen what the Goodwill bins look like. It's this big room with all the clothing that's either didn't sell at the regular retail store or just things that they weren't able to process and they just have an overload of donations and they might go straight to the bin. So it's kind of like a clearance center. Well, my town is too small for that. And what we do have, and I've talked about it before, is the local thrift chain does have a little clearance center as well. And it does have bins. It has clothing that's just piled up. It's got shelves around the side for hard goods and things like that. So I'm putting up some footage here, not from the day that this haul came from, but from another time I was there. Anyway, just so you can get an idea of what that looks like. So it's tiny, it's kind of hit or miss, but they have really good pricing. So they don't do it by the pound like other Goodwills, but they do do it by the amount of stuff that you get. So some of it's a little arbitrary, but you know, you can fill a little shopping hand basket and that's $5. If you fill a giant black trash bag, that's $10. They also have those little shopping carts that are like double-decker. And usually if I just fill the top of that, then that's $5. So I often have a $5 haul, right? Or $5 holla, holla, dollar holla. So anyway, I just thought I would share these quick $5 hauls with you. Here's a picture of the one I'm going to talk about today, and I'll just go real quickly through the items and kind of what I can expect to get for them. You know, I don't do comps. Everything is super cheap. So in that picture, there's 15 items, which works out to about 33 cents a piece. So I don't bother standing there on my phone looking things up or anything like that. So anyway, so I get some duds and then I get some good things too. So today, let's start with my duds. Okay, now there's a bunch of vintage little knick-knacky things. And I looked at this and I thought, don't get it, Shannon, just don't get it. But then I'm like, but it's a dog, it's lusterware. And I was like, it's made in Brazil. I was like, I should probably get that. I don't know. I was also thinking Ruby Lane, I was going to do a grouping soon of like cats and dogs and things. And I thought, well, I could put it on there. So there are 24 of these listed for like $10 or less on eBay right now, and none have sold in the last 90 days. So I don't know if I'm going to bother putting it on Ruby Lane or if it's just going to go back and get donated. The other thing that ended up being kind of a bust are these vintage salt and pepper shakers. People are calling them like bean pot style. I mostly grab them because they have a very atomic looking S and P on top. They're very mid-century coppery plastic. Then I got home and I realized there's like a melt mark on the top of the pepper. So you know what? These might be going in my camper. I don't know. Not gonna try to sell them. They don't have the greatest sell-through, and adding damage to it is not gonna be great. Now, I also had these little white bisque little figurines, and I'll show you the bottom. They are, let me get it right side up. It's fine bone china. Okay, I don't know if I'll be able to focus close enough on that, but it's fine bone china. It's George Good by Freeman was the artist or designer. So super cute little figurines. Now this is the one I saw first. This like mouse on a surfboard. Kind of funny, but all this one has is a made in Taiwan sticker. So I don't believe this is George Good. Obviously it would have been signed. So I probably should have left this one there, but I just took a chance because 33 cents a piece is what it ended up being. And who knows, somebody might want that. I don't know. But the George Good figurines, here's the two that are marked. I've got a giraffe and I've got an elephant. Now a giraffe, there are some sold like in the 10 to 20, I don't know. the ones that have sold, there was one that looked like it, I think the eyes were closed, like it was sleeping. So there are different variations of giraffes. The one that have sold the best are like 2 giraffes together or a giraffe family. So we'll see how that one does. They both need a little cleaning up, probably with a magic eraser. The elephant has sold for about $20. So not too bad there. And then let's go on to this. This has never been used, and it's Beatrix Potter. It's a scrapbook. The box is kind of beat up, but it's by Gibson. And comps are not so great. I'm gonna shoot for between 15 to 20, I think, on that. An imperfect, is it an imperfect one like this? Sold for 10 on eBay. But anyway, I'm gonna cross-post it to Posh and to different places like that. So I think it'll find an audience. Anyway, Beatrix Potter things generally can do pretty well. It just depends on how oversaturated. Now, there were some baby books by Gibson that seemed to do a little bit better. Things that were a little bit more specific, photo album, things like that. But this is just a plain scrapbook, just open blank pages. But it's never been used. 33 cents. So you gotta keep that in mind. Here's another thing I just kind of grabbed. It's this bag. It's a Learn to Knit, so it's got a little booklet in it. It's got some other things. I liked the graphics on how to make different hats. And this little booklet type thing. So that's just stuff that'll go into my Etsy pattern shop. You know, not a whole big money maker on there, but vintage, so I like it. Then I look through the belts. Usually I check the belts and ties and things like that. And I found these suspenders, vintage suspenders. And then I was happy to see LL Bean. And actually I found some comps for $30 for these. So 33 cents into $30. I'm good with that. Then I went over to the hats. I like digging through their hats. We're gonna have a video coming up. My next $5 haul was very hat heavy, tons of vintage hats that day. So my husband and I are gonna share some information with you about hats on our next $5 haul video. But this is what I found. Hats are so bread and butter for us. If you watch my what sold, there's usually at least 1 or 2 a week. Anyway, so these are interesting. I saw these first and I was like, okay, definitely military, army hats. One was just, I just saw a 59. I couldn't really see what else was going on, so I had 2 of them, right? And then I made out some markings on the second one, and it had a date, 1966. So I thought, okay, vintage military hats. We're gonna go for that and just see how they do. So I was just researching them, and they're from the Swedish Army. Like, how random in the middle of Montana. So vintage Swedish Army hats. They don't have, you know, there's one that had an emblem that sold for, I don't know, 15 or 20 or something like that. 15 maybe. So, you know, I'm not expecting huge, but again, I'm going to cross list these to Poshmark and to Depop. And, you know, even if I got 10 bucks a piece, I'm pretty good with that. And then there was another vintage hat. Let's see, made in Taiwan, so 80s, Pacific Power, corduroy. There is a sold for this exact hat for $5, and that's just because that's what the seller asked for. So I think I'm just gonna ask for more and see what happens. I don't think this has ever been worn. And then this one I think is definitely a $15 hat. It's the US Open, 1998. The Olympic Club. In the back it says US Golf Association member. And there are some solds, you know, anywhere in the $12 to $15 range for that one. And then a vintage Boy Scout hat. I think this is maybe $10 or $12 as well. Right here, I knew it was vintage because it said made in the USA. So $10 to $12 for that one. So not too bad on those. So say, you know, 10, 10, 10. There's 5 of them. Even if I got 10 bucks a piece, that's 50 bucks right there. And then I also got a Cutco knife block. And it was full of knives, just junky knives. And so I pulled those out and I grabbed this. It does have a little bit of like a scratch right here, but my husband, like I said before, is a carpenter. He's going to take care of touching that up a little bit. And comps on those, what did I say? Oh, about $25 to $30 for that. Then, okay, so this is kind of a fun one. Kind of creepy, kind of fun. But I don't know if you've seen these dolls before, but this is what's known as a topsy-turvy doll. This one is probably like homemade from a kit, I'm thinking. But anyway, so it's got grandma, and then topsy-turvy, you flip it over and you've got Little Red Riding Hood. Okay, so I was researching this after I bought it, and it's actually a pretty good size. You know, prices are all over the place for these, and some are short, some are taller. You know, I'm going to shoot for about $25. So I was looking at these online and people were like, oh, it's 3-in-1. And I was like, oh, that'd be cool if this had been a 3-in-1. I'm like, how do they do the wolf? Because they were all like, grandma, you know, wolf, Little Red Riding Hood. And I was like, how in the world do they do the wolf? How do they do 3-in-1 for this, right? So then I looked at one of the listings, and it turns out dun, 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 that, oh, over here, and this is a creepy looking wolf. You flip up grandma's, yeah, that's supposed to be a wolf. Anyway, the wolf is on the back of grandma's head. So anyway, I just thought I'd share that lovely nightmare-inducing piece with you. And I'm going to try to get $25 for that one. So anyway, okay, let me know in the comments below what you thought of my $5 haul. And would you have bought those items? Same thing, you know, honestly, I'm paying 33 cents a piece, like I said before. So I can afford to kind of just take a chance on certain things. And I don't know, I didn't add up my numbers. I'm going to go ahead and add up and put up a number here of like the least I could maybe possibly make out of my $5. So anyway, hope you guys had a great weekend, and we'll see you soon for another What Sold.